Hey, it's Taco. In this video, you can see me taking off. And real quick, you'll see how shaky it is on launch. And then we'll get into the rest of the video. But this is when I should have known, hey, something's not quite right. It's already a little bit bumpy for me. I'm coming to you live from Taco's wife's she shed and craft assembly shed. So anyway, on the video, this particular view is from the Insta360 mounted on my swing arm, and the higher I get, of course, it starts smoothing out a little bit. When I took off, it was a little bit bumpier than I expected. I looked at PPG report, and the winds were pretty steady all the way up to like 10,000 feet. I mean, they started at 6 miles an hour or so and just went maybe up to 10 or 12 miles an hour, but all from the same direction and a gentle progression from surface to 10,000 feet or so. When I took off, I immediately knew something was up, and I should have turned right around and landed again. First of all, when I went to the airport, I got to the airport late. So my first problem was getting to the airport late because it was really overcast. It was 100% coverage. And so I waited till about 9:30 or so, and then saw that the clouds were breaking up. Hey, there's a couple of holes, and it was supposed to be like 40-50% coverage the rest of the day. So now the video switches to my GoPro helmet view. So that's it changes a little bit. The resolution's a little bit better, and then of course, it's a lot shakier because I'm looking around. It's on my helmet, so I'm looking around. But anyway, so it was bumpy, and then real quick, and the video part you're seeing is me coming back to the airport. So I've already flown like 30 minutes or so. I'm coming back to the airport, and it's bumping me around pretty good because I'm back down below like 1,500, maybe 1,200 feet. And I'm like, whoa, this is really nasty. So anyway, what happens is I take off, I get up above like 2,000 feet above the cloud layer. The clouds are supposed to be at 4,000 feet, but they were at 2,000. So I take off, I get above the cloud layer, and it's smooth. And the clouds were only maybe 100 feet tall or so. I flew right next to some of them, and they were, not only could you see through them, so I wasn't really worried about getting hit by something, but they weren't very tall from base to peaks. They were, a lot smaller than I thought they would be for clouds. Flew around. I was going to go to 10,000 feet, but the higher I got, I started getting up into some haze left over from the fog burning off, I guess. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to go any higher. So I got up to maybe 5,000 feet, did a slow loop around town, started coming back down. Problems began when I get below like 1,200 feet or so. I crossed I went right through the remains of a cloud. You could barely see it on video. It's just kind of a gray haze. And so I went right through it, and as soon as I did, I went from cold and I hit this warm layer, and I was like, oh crap. And I think you may be able to hear me say hey, let's not do that again. So I come down into this warm layer, and now you see me on video sort of on downwind, but I'm way far from the airport. But you can tell at times that number one, I've got a lot of left brake pulled because it's trying to force me to turn right, and then the second thing is I've got you can see it bumping me around, and I involuntarily sometimes throw my feet out when I get bumped. I don't know why I do that. It's like, whoa, and then my feet will stick out. So you can see that a little bit here and there. Anyway, so I'm coming down through the clouds originally before I start to get lined up for the runway, and it's just getting bumpier and bumpier. So one of my mistakes is my biggest mistake is I left too early. I think I took off probably around 10:30, and it was already bumpy. I don't know what I was thinking, whether it was just inexperience. This is my 6th flight, okay? So don't forget that. I've got a lot of videos up here, and it's easy to forget how many flights I've had, because sometimes I'll cut them up and put the same flight from 3 or 4 different perspectives or a pilot debrief or, just little bits and pieces here and there. But this is my 6th actual flight. I think it's my 7th takeoff and landing. However, in the middle somewhere, I stood up too soon, and it wasn't really a takeoff and landing. It was an aborted landing or a failed launch. It was a crunch into the ground. But so this is my 6th actual flight, so I'm still pretty new to this. So and I had forgotten the rule about don't go flying after 10 o'clock in the morning, or so 2 hours after sunrise, 2 hours before sunset. With the winds behaving. But I had forgotten that. I read it in the Paramotor Bible, and I forgot. Maybe I was thinking that I would get a little bit of leeway with the clouds having been overcast, and it's not going to be as thermally because the clouds have been over the top of everything until right now, so shouldn't have an opportunity to heat stuff up, but it did. So that was my first problem, is going out and flying too late, and then not taking heed of when I took off how bumpy it already was. I should have turned right around and landed instead of continuing to go on. So now you see me sort of coming into a downwind base leg. Yeah. I'm coming across towards the runway, and I'm going to turn left here in a minute and get lined up with the runway. And when I took off, the wind was blowing towards the direction I'm going to be landing. So I took off into the wind, going to the left of the screen right now. So I took off into the wind, so I'm landing into the wind. Somebody already told me, hey, it looks like you landed downwind because your canopy flopped over in front of you. There was almost no wind on landing. You can't see it on the video, but when I came downwind, I could look down at my car and see my windsock, and the windsock was blowing in the direction, or towards me, so in the direction that I am flying into. So I was flying into the wind. However, there wasn't much of it, and it would gust and quit and gust and quit. So now we're getting lined up to do this landing, or to try to attempt a landing, and I'm really feeling the bumps at this point. So you see the end of the runway there with the trees, and right as I come over the end of the trees, on the original video you can hear me say, damn, I can't get down. I come over the trees, and I originally blamed the thermals for my crash, but the thermal just kind of instigated everything that happened after this. So I come over the end of the trees, I hit this plowed field, and whoosh, I feel myself go up. And I'm going to do a diagram here in a minute. Yep, there goes my foot. Okay, so I whooshed up a little bit and then came back down. And you'll see me really struggling. And I'm towards the main runway because the wind is coming a little bit from my left. So I'm towards the main runway, and my intent is to land near the main runway, but going about to my 11 o'clock, or maybe 20 degrees off center to the left. And now that thermal has caused me to get into pilot-induced oscillation. Not only am I flying too short, or landing too short and trying to extend my landing too low, but I'm adding power, subtracting, adding, subtracting. I'm getting into pilot-induced oscillation, and crunch. So my failed attempt at controlling my throttle, and failed attempt to abort. When I speed up right there at the end, I'm actually attempting to abort the landing. So I hit the gas like, nope, I don't like this. It's not good. I'm going to go up and I'm going to go around. But what I did was I was coming down and I hit the gas, but I didn't pull any brake. So I just kind of skimmed along the surface until I ran out of air and hit the ground. So what I should have done is pulled a little bit of brake and scooched back up. So I didn't really abort very well either. And you see it's leaking gas, of course. So I was like, oh shit. So real quick, I moved it over to that sandy area right by the drainage ditch. And then the gas drained out right into the dirt. And then I had to there I am looking at my damage. So I've got to replace that leg, the fuel tank, both those front and rear connecting spars, the fuses, the hoop attach point. So I got a lot of stuff I got to replace. Sort of yeah, there you go. That hoop attach bracket shattered. The hoop, thank goodness, was okay. I just got to retie the net, but the hoop was okay. So, and of course I obliterated the prop. You can't see it at that point, I don't think, because I've already taken it off. But I've obliterated the prop. So now that you've seen the video, I can go into, on paper, into a little bit more detail about what I did and what I was thinking, I guess. Okay, so here's my little diagram of my airport, and you can see I've drawn in the windsock. There's my car with its little windsock. There's the halfway turnaround point for the runway, and the runway just keeps going out, but I don't use that part. I crashed before then. A couple little hangars. There's a terminal, and then there's the little, I don't know what you call it, the little road that goes, a little taxiway that goes from the runway to the ramp, and there's two of those. So, and then there's some trees, and of course all this out here is just grass. Okay, and I've kind of got a little dashed line. So here I come in the little paramotor, and my feet out. So here I come over these trees, right? And then as soon as I get to the edge of the trees over this grass, I feel a whoosh. And so I'm going up, and of course I come into this this thermal. It's going up that way, and then real quick I'm like, oh god, I can't get down. And here's my mistakes up here. I didn't abort thermals, so I should have aborted my takeoff, but my landing I didn't abort either. Then of course flying into thermals and pilot-induced oscillation. So I come into this thermal, and then it's like, whoa, I can't get down, and immediately I go just about to idle. And then I start sinking a lot faster than I think I am, or that it looked like I was going to. Because on the back side of a thermal, of course, if you got air going up, something's got to come in and replace it. So I've got air coming in to replace it, so it's trying to suck me down. Plus, I've got the wind blowing towards me, which is going to make me land a whole lot shorter than I planned to. Originally, my glide scope, I pretty much figured I was going to come down like that, but I didn't. So here I am coming down, and I realize, oh my god, I'm not in the right spot at all. And then the wind is blowing a little bit like towards me, not just this way, but towards me. So it's pushing me from the grass strip area over here over the main runway. So I'm coming down, and then I give it some gas to try to extend this landing. And at one point I'm like, hey, I can land right here. But I'm over the concrete part of the runway, or the asphalt part of the runway, and then there's a couple of landing lights and taxiway signs right here. I don't want to hit those, so I hit the gas, and I kind of extend my landing run past those, let off, and immediately I'm sinking again. So now I'm like, oh crap, I don't want to land here. I want to land near the car so I don't have to walk so far. So I hit the gas again, and I start up, extending my run. And then again, one more time, and at this point I should have said, whoa, this landing is just screwed up. I need to abort. And really I should have aborted. My decision height should have been way back here, like, whoa, I do not like this. Let's get up and go around. But I waited way too late. I had a severe case of what the Gen Av pilots call get home-itis. In other words, I just wanted to get down. I was tired of being bumped around and shaken, and I had a severe case of get home-itis. So here I go, and then I get down here again, and then I realize I'm going way too fast. And then there's a ditch right here that I don't want to hit either. So at the last second, I just hit the gas, and then I go like full wide open throttle, but I don't hit any brake, and I just skim right on down and just run out of air and crunch. So there is my diagram of what happened. Yeah, I blame the thermals on the Facebook group, but it wasn't really the thermal's fault. The thermal initiated it. It got me going up for the end of the runway, and then the combination of the downdraft and the wind shortened my glide slope a lot more than I thought it was going to. And so I come down too steep, try to extend my landing run. So thermals kind of started it, but it was really my fault. I should have aborted. I had no plan for aborting. So I should have done a go around because I wasn't happy with the landing. But again, I had to get home itis. And then at the last minute, I induced oscillation with gas on, gas off, gas on, gas off crunch. So that was my problem. That's what I did. So it wasn't the thermal's fault at all. I'm glad I found my GoPro video. But anyway, that's it in a nutshell. And I get my Iris Infinity fixed, and hopefully I'll be back up within a couple of weeks when the weather is better and it is nice and calm first thing in the morning. Remember, don't go splat like I did. It's expensive and it hurts.